How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of a Kenshi Let's Struggle. Now, I ended up losing the first 2 hours of gameplay for the footage, but luckily I was live streaming, so I have some footage of it with some webcam in the top right. So for the first 2 minutes of this video, we're going to be using this footage to just show you guys exactly what we were doing. With that out of the way though, roll the intro.
I got checked like a ballad. I'm trying to stay healthy without eating a salad. Eat a tangerine, I'm intangible. She trying to eat me, I think she a cannibal. Don't care.
So to start off, I was mostly doing stuff at Fort Harold. Luckily, I didn't do too much during this time where I lost the recording. I tried to put down a house right here. That way I could fill it up with cages and use it sort of as a prisoner house. Meanwhile, Harold and the platoon are still on their way back from the Ashlands, so it'll take them probably another day to get home. Once I actually got this house built, I realized I just couldn't go into it. I'm guessing there's some clipping issues or some shit, but struggle, so I just decided to plant down a different house. I did a double house this time, and this one actually worked out pretty well. Once I had it built, I put down like a line of cages here, and this works pretty well. It looks pretty nice. So I lined up about 8 or 9 cages there, so we have plenty of room for new prisoners. I wanted to put some general storage boxes here, but it wouldn't fit, so that dream didn't work. And I just decided to go with a normal chest for general storage. I put down 6 of these, so I guess we get more room in the long run, but rip my creative adventures. Now, I had brought somebody from the Ashlands that we found, so I put that skeleton unit into a cage. And then afterwards, I put the AI cores that we had found into the research bench. So with AI cores, I decided to go with advanced mining tech. Adjusted this. I still have the other one, but for now, that's all I grabbed there. Afterwards, we ran into a hive who seemed to be a little bit of a battlehead, but I paid 3 cats to recruit this guy, and I renamed him to DX Seba. A huge shout out to DX Seba for supporting the channel through donations. He really didn't need to do that, and nobody really does, but I appreciate everyone who has. Now, one of the cool things is this mod, the CM road mod I tried to do. I tried to set up a nice road extending from one side of Fort Harold to the other, but the game ended up crashing on me, and they, kind of just fucked up my day. So I lost about 10 minutes of progress and had to redo the road. I do have autosave on again, but luckily this is where I started recording gameplay footage without my life. So now the road across Fort Harold was getting built. This is mostly just cosmetic purposes, but I really like it. It was later on in the night that we had a Dustlord attack show up to the base. Now normally these are just one and done and usually disregarded at this point, but I decided to patch up quite a few of these guys and put them in the cages. Reason for this is just because we need to go to war against the United Cities soon, and I'm trying to build a larger army with more higher tier units. So I had Teddy go and grab about 6 or 7 of these Dustlords and put them all in cages and first aid them back to normal health. Afterwards, I talked to one of them that was conscious and I asked him to join me, but you have to pick a certain option or else he just joins you as a Dustlord. So we now have someone with the name Dustlord in our base, which is pretty fucking shit. But after this, I would go on to name this character Kislev after Mason Roundstone, I believe, requested. And we're having some fun in the stream. We made this guy have some stupid thick thighs. Not as thick as Lordy Naba's, but he's pretty big boy, you know? Also, we're running low on hemp at this point, so I put down 2 more farming platforms. We're using a lot of hemp with all of our weapons, armor, and other things around the base. So I'm trying to make sure I stabilize that out. Now, while I was looking around, I could see some, some black suits running across the desert, and that could obviously mean no good. Then it was the Black Ninja Gennings. They're trying to get at my bread supply heavy this time. And they charged the fucking gates. They ran down the fucking Fort Harold Road and went right to our bread spot. Now, I tried to get everybody there ready and near the door, and I closed the door that way they wouldn't get there, but I forgot to lock it, so they would just open it back up and then try and steal our bread. Luckily, I had people like Darth Vader and other units of the Fort Haryoung Empire. They weren't just gonna let them run off and steal the bread. And this was the first time, actually, in my few hundred hours of playing Kenshi, that I actually found the Black Ninja Gennings trying to break into my base, or trying to break into my bread supply specifically. Normally, they've just taken everything that or been handled, so that was pretty fun to see. I decided as a little bit of punishment, and because everybody wanted another stealth and assassination character, I would be grabbing one of these black ninjas and putting them into the cage. That way I can recruit him and make him sort of like a stealth ninja character, seeing as he is already a ninja. Some of the Dustlords were ready to recruit though, so I recruited one of them, and I renamed this guy to Owen after another subscriber. Just because he supports series doesn't mean you get special treatment. You still gotta crawl your ass to the fucking bar until we get you a new leg. But then with the farming platforms, I could finally put in the stairs and the lights for them. I can't put in the roof at the same time, it's kind of glitched for some reason. but you know, that's all just a part of Kenshi. Either way, I can put in the light so that we get full crop yield 24/7 and the stairs, and those farming platforms are basically ready to go. We don't have anything raining like, you know, fucking acid or anything, so we're pretty good on that part, and I can put down the hemp plots without after worrying about them. I recruited yet another Dust Lord that we had taken, and I renamed him after French toast. And then the second Dust Lord that was a Shek, I decided to rename to Keto. So I now have these 5 units that are all pretty low in stats, and of course I don't want them to be dying anytime soon because we need them for later on. So I decided to load them up with training weapons that do 0 damage each, and I had them pick up a prisoner and go to sort of a training spot that we have now and go in there and go train on him. Meanwhile, we still weren't doing good enough with hemp, so I did put in 2 more hemp plots, and then the Black Ninja Genin that we had found was finally able to be recruited, so I talked to this guy, and I renamed him to Picklord, the subscriber who was edging us to steal in the last episode. Then later on in the day, I noticed Lord Rhinobot was starving, because I have Lord Rhinobot on turrets with a high turret skill, and I don't want Lord Rhinobot to lose any of its thick thighs, you know? And also, a funny note is Darth Vader went from being a Sith Lord to a miner of a Haryoung Empire. We need iron badly, okay? We ran out, so we need as many miners as we can get. And by nightfall, the group that I had training had their stats up quite a bit at this point. At least 70 in dexterity, which is nice, and melee attack and defense. So with that done, I knocked out the prisoner and brought him back to a cage, and those 5 units were all ready. Now this was right after when a Dust Bandit attack came, and this was a fucking big one. I haven't had a big one like this for quite a bit. And they were all over, for fuck's sake, Snub. We did manage, though, to take out the Dust Bandits pretty easily, even with Snub blocking the nice cinematics I'm trying to grab. I'm also having Implord work on some stealth training now. As insane as this might sound, with a high stealth skill, Implord can sneak up on his enemies, and I don't think it takes a brainlet to figure out how terrifying that'll be. But it had been probably a week or 2 since I had last sold Cactus Rum, and we had almost a full supply of it now, about 200 Cactus Rum just chilling. So I decided I was going to send a platoon over to the swamp to try and get rid of a good amount of this and try and make some profit. I also noticed that our bread supply are finally outweighed, so we have too many people and we're eating too much bread per day, so I decided to put in 3 additional Wheat Straw XL farms. Hopefully these will be able to suffice everybody and their bread needs, because we have been recruiting a lot of people the past few weeks. Meanwhile though, I got them into the swamp and sold off a little bit, but I had to wait until the morning because the group ended up getting there at night and all the shops were closed. But by morning time and I sold everything, we did make a good little profit from it. Now once going back to the base, I was still collecting random bandits all around the base. I had recruited another character which I forgot to rename, so we now have 2 Dust Lords in the group along with Pick Lord, so I had them trained together and I guess there'll be like a mini Lord group. And I'll be sending Harold and the others over to Nova Tempest, the place that we got with the Blood and Sand mod, just that way we could sell off the rest of the Cactus Rum nice and quick. I didn't really lose out on too much profit, as well as this place had an armor store, so I decided to pick up a few different blueprints and research from like the plate jackets. And with the new wheat straw farms, we do have enough bread to suffice, so I loaded up B02 with bread and they were going out into the Ashlands. I wanted to go there again to try and get some more loot from one of the ruins, and it was pretty safe clearing until the group ended up in Stobe's Gamble, where they did encounter a group of Southern Hives. Now this guy did like a backward somersault. I believe this is with one of the combat mods, but I hadn't seen this before, so this was fucking crazy to see. But either way though, it was no worries. The Southern Hive aren't too strong, and it was only a group of 2 or 3 of them, so the group's next fight wouldn't happen until they entered Sonorous Dark, the region right over, and this is where the Skin Bandits live. A large group of them were traveling outside. We had no other choice really but to turn around and fight them. And the Skin Bandits all have pretty decent stats as well, pretty close to most of the people in the platoon, a little bit lower, enough to make Snub have a seizure and then just start to fly off into space with the Space Jam theme. It was complete carnage, but luckily we were able to take them out, and while running after another group, I made sure the group all stayed together and didn't go after them. There were some nice high tier weapons here, but we had taken quite a bit of damage just from this one encounter with them, so I would take the weapons and a few other things, but it wasn't too much to grab off of them. But with that taken care of, the group could head out on their way. And the training group at Fort Harold would finish up their training now with some pretty decent stats, and a prisoner was returned. I started to recruit him, and it turns out he's a goat man of a goat race. We hadn't have a goat man since season 1, but I renamed him to Griggets, another subscriber of the series. And then a few hours later, the group was finally able to make it into the Ashlands. Now I did see one Skeleton Legion member just running around, but he was easy to take out on his own. And after that, I'm looking at this giant structure in the middle there, and it looks like a mask or something, you know, it looks crazy. So I figured that would be the ruins, but no, it's the place to the left right there, the dome. So that's a bit disappointing, but in order to get to the dome, we would have to go through a group of a Skeleton Legion who all have some pretty good stats in attack and defense themselves. As well as 300 in HP, there was really no choice but to try and fight them. And to be honest, this was a pretty bad decision. Going against all of these units ended up doing quite a bit of damage to our squad. Even though we could take down quite a few of them, they have a lot of high HP stats, as well as hitting for high numbers and blocking quite a few of our attacks. I would get lucky though with half the group being able to remain awake and the other half slowly waking up, as they're pretty strong themselves. Even though the Skeleton Legion would do the same, we were pretty fine and we were able to just take them down one by one and start to loot. We did have to carry Wet Axo though, and other units were pretty injured from this fight. But those went off in the distance, I noticed a nomad group near this dome. This was a nomad animal trainer. They had mega crabs, crimpers, and everything, but they were fighting the Skeleton Legion. So I'm like, yes, this is a perfect time to pull up. And inside there's only one screamer unit with another skeleton who we took down pretty fast. But after checking out this other skeleton, I wanted to learn a little bit more about him. His name was Rhinobot. And when looking at him, he has an AI core as well as a CPU unit, which reads, Rhinobot just wanted to help, but he had no moral processing, and so would help with anything, even the most diabolical evil. He didn't see anything wrong with his child prisons. So this tells us that all we know about Rhinobot is that he's a robot that's programmed to not really know what to do, so he used to help with child prisons. He seems like a pretty interesting unit though. He could be worth a lot of money, and that AI core would be nice, but I want to leave it up to you guys. There will be a straw poll in the description, so let me know if you want Rhinobot to be harvested, or if you want Rhinobot to join the Haryoung Empire. There's lots of lore about him too, so feel free to check up on that if you want to. Moving on though, the loot chests that were in here were a bit different than the dome that we had seen before. These ones mostly contained high tier weapons that we hadn't seen before, like the centipede, this really cool looking like almost Naruto-like fucking sword. And after that, the second floor didn't really have too much, to be honest, just a tool set and some books, not too much that I'd really be riding home about. On the last floor though, the top one, just like the last one, we had more ancient safes with a different metal box on the other side. So I went to the middle box first and checked that out. And that didn't have too much in it, just a heavy halberd and some tools. After which, I checked out the other ancient safes, and I felt like this was going to be a weapons runes. Now these aren't the worst, but honestly I craft some pretty good weapons at home, but the best loot we did get was this mask here, which I didn't acknowledge at first, but once I did see it I was like, holy fuck, this looks cool. It's like some kind of medieval like mask. It will be the one in the thumbnail most likely, so that was a very cool loot, and we also got lots of high tier weapons out of it, so it wasn't all bad in all reality. The only downside is no engineering research or AI cores out of that one, other than Rhinobot. After that though, the adventure wasn't over, as I found more Skeleton Legion members just hanging out around outside, and I saw them attacking something that was in the wall. Now I wasn't sure what this was at first, but this is called a cleanser unit, something I've never seen in Kenshi before until this day. And it was owned by the nomads and basically just stuck in this terrain part of the map. Now, I wanted to use this to my advantage because, well, on one point he was stuck, so he couldn't attack us, which was good. But on the other point, he was stuck, so we couldn't attack him, which was also not good. So what I ended up doing was I got Arpo to equip a crossbow off of one of the fallen Skeleton Legion members. He had a little bit in his crossbow skill, and I got him to start shooting at the cleanser unit. Slowly but surely, he would start to do a little bit of damage, 70s and 80s with his high tier crossbow. So things were going pretty good, and he was losing quite a bit of health. We had him about 1/3 down, to be honest, and he turns around and starts to fight something that's inside of this structure. And just slowly, I see my AI cores drift away and fucking fade into the terrain. The many Let's struggles of this series is driving me absolute insane. I need fucking antidepressant. All is well though, okay? I'm sure we're gonna find another cleanser unit eventually. I'm just kind of glad we did get to see one. It's shitty that he phased into the wall like that from us, but oh well. It would have been kind of cheese if we got him anyways. At least though, we were able to get the group back on their way to Fort Harold. And the last part of business I wanted to take care of was arming a good group of Fort Harold. Lots of people had training weapons or just no weapons at all, or shit ones. So I equipped everybody with these nice ninja blades that we have been making, and then I gave everybody different weapons ranging from heavy pole arms to the fallen suns, sabers. There's the big cutter weapons, which is a hacker type. So I got lots of different weapons. I'm trying to make more for the next episode so I can equip the other half of the group with other unique weapons. And lastly, I recruited one more person, Kenshi EXE, another subscriber who's been around for quite a bit. And that brings us to the end of the episode, so I'd like to thank everybody who's been supporting the series as far as it's been going. We've been going on for months at this point, and now I am live streaming the series live on my YouTube channel and Twitch, and also doing some editing streams and other stuff as well, so check out those if those interest. As always though, thank you guys for all your support. It wouldn't be possible without you guys encouraging me to make all these videos, so I do appreciate it a shit ton. I'll try to have some more out for you, and we got some more big stuff on the way, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.